In 1984, Andre de Shields' Haarlem Nocturne, great one, opened at the Latin Quarter on Broadway. What is the Latin Quarter? It was a theater on 7th Avenue near 48th Street. That's how I imagine, like, people say that. They don't really say that, but I'm like, what was the Latin Quarter? Jen Tepper, tell us, and then I'll tell you whether you want to know or not. The venue opened in 1900 as the Palace Royale, a nightclub. From 36 to 1940, it was the Cotton Club, with headliners including Cab Calloway, Lena Horne, Ethel Waters, Duke Ellington, and Louis Armstrong. Then in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, it became the Latin Quarter, a French-style nightclub that was run by Lou Walters, Barbara Walters' father. After that, it became Cine Lido, a movie house, aka a porno theater. In 1979, it first opened as a Broadway theater when the National Theatre of Prague turned the space into a 450-seat legit house. Where is the National Theatre of Prague? Because I have some houses that I'd like them to switch, you know. First it was called the 22 Steps, then the Princess Theatre, and then finally it was renamed the Latin Quarter. Shows that played there included The Madwoman of Central Park West, censored scenes from King Kong, and the house's longest runner, Pump Boys and Dinettes.
And My Old Friends.
Yeah, My Old Friends, that's a good one. Thanks, Larry, I appreciate that. The theater was demolished in the 80s, and the block is now, it's actually where the Renaissance Hotel is, as well as the M&M store. That's the block it was on.
At least it wasn't the Pop-Tart store.
That's like a short-running, underappreciated store.
Yeah. Didn't last.
Sorry.
But somebody loved it.
Some store owners do a series about like underappreciated stores that people really love. Please, I'll totally come.
Haarlem Nocturne started at La Mama, where shows were at 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. The show centered around Andre de Shields and also featured Mark Shaman, Deborah Bird, Frida Williams, and Elliot English. The New York Amsterdam News reported, "It's a sensational musical. The cast is knocking them out of their socks with the sizzling performances. And it's very contemporary, although it does pay homage to the best of black music's past, present, and with original songs' future. The show is said to portray a Haarlem of the mind, with a narrative of a man coming from humble beginnings to become a star, and also about the black experience in New York."
How awesome is that promo shot? Look at Mark Shaman with the whip. I never thought I would say that on a stage, God. A 25-year-old Mark Shaman warmed up the crowd, yeah, how cool is that, at the top of the show by asking for requests and then leading the audience in a sing-along. He played TV show theme songs, that's like a Smash reference without being a Smash reference, and Stages magazine called him that tag-along little brother, bringing up the rear with bumptious enthusiasm. The last line of Mark's bio read, "Although he turned 25 this October, Mr. Shaman recently celebrated his 50th year in show business." While he was working on Broadway as soon as 1979, Shaman wouldn't have a show that he wrote himself there until Hairspray in 2002. Hang on tight, writers.
Seriously. The three women were widely praised for their huge voices, with my favorite periodical, Women's Wear Daily, weighing in to say, Bird, English, and Williams can harmonize to a beat. And they also take on solos with a whirlwind vigor. They enliven things with a boisterous, let-it-all-hang-out kind of fun. The three women were billed as Andre's backup singers.
That cool. I also say Andre de Shields starred in the first Broadway show I ever saw, so this is very awesome to me, which was The Full Monty, which I saw from the front row student rush seats with my then 9-year-old sister, who saw, you know, nudity for the first time. Thanks, Mom. But of course, I have loved Andre de Shields ever since, so it's very cool. Andre de Shields had made a name for himself in The Wiz and Ain't Misbehavin', and this was an opportunity to make a mark not only as a performer, but also as auteur. In fact, the show had started as a moonlighting club act for him while appearing in Ain't Misbehavin'. When the show was at La Mama, Barry and Fran Weisler saw it, and they wanted to bring it to a wider audience. They gave a statement to the press saying, "It's the hottest party in town. It's like nothing we've ever seen. We're bringing something very special to Broadway." It was only their third Broadway show as producers.
In the opening number, de Shields wore tight leather pants, a torn red t-shirt, and studded bracelets on each wrist. The Daily News called his singing inspired and praised the production for bringing back the almost forgotten institution of the big, brassy New York nightclub. While some balked at seeing a nightclub show at Broadway prices, which were $22 and $27 at the time. Others flocked to see the pizzazz and sophistication wrapped up in a classic New York City supper club show about Black New York.
The Village Voice said, Andre de Shields is, as always, a strong performer, but in this production he shows the finesse behind the power and dazzle that comes so easily to him. At the time, he was known as a dynamic entertainer and also a voice for speaking his mind. When asked at the time about his bad boy image, de Shields said, people are under the impression that artists aren't supposed to think or be plugged into the bloodline of the country, the world, socially, politically, or otherwise. I take exception to that. We are not dummies, and as for me, my work has to reflect more than just the obvious singing and dancing. I must take chances. Without risk, there is absolutely no reason to do it. And when those risks result in opening doors, I like to leave them open so that others can walk through.